Marta had seen pictures of Wyoming on the internet, but pictures never showed the whole truth. She expected wide land and big skies, but she never imagined how quiet a place could be. When the small bus dropped her off at the dusty stop near Dawson Ranch, the silence felt heavy, as if the land itself was holding its breath. Back home, in her busy city, noise was constant: cars, trains, people shouting, music playing from shops. Here, the only sound was the wind brushing over dry grass and faraway birds calling into the open air. She tightened her grip on her old suitcase, the same one she had used for 10 years, patched up again and again. She stood tall, taller than most women around her country, and she knew her height often made people stare. But now there was no crowd to hide in, no noise to blend into. She felt big, exposed, and uncertain. She wondered if this new life she had agreed to was too strange, too far, too different. A truck rolled toward her in the distance, a beige pickup covered in a fine layer of brown dust. Her heart thumped as it pulled to a stop. From the driver's side stepped a man in denim jeans, boots, and a simple shirt. He had sun-browned skin, gentle eyes, and a slight smile that seemed shy but kind. This was Cal Dawson, the cowboy who had written her long emails full of calm, steady words. He was the man she was supposed to start a life with. Cal walked slowly, as if giving her time to prepare. Marta tried to smile, though her stomach tightened. When he reached her, he tipped his hat slightly, a gesture she had only seen in movies. "Marta?" he asked softly, his voice warm and careful. She nodded. "Yes. Hello." Her English was not perfect, and she worried he would judge her for it. Cal glanced at her suitcase, then at the land around them, and finally back at her. "Long trip," he said simply. "Yes," she answered. "Very long." She felt her cheeks warm, unsure what else to say. He reached for her suitcase. "Let me help you." Instinctively, Marta held it tighter. In her country, you never let a stranger touch your things. She knew he was not a stranger now. Not really. But her body reacted before her mind did. For a second she hesitated, and Cal immediately noticed. He slowly pulled his hand back. "Only if it's okay," he said. His voice was calm, so gentle that Marta's shoulders relaxed. She nodded again and released her grip. He lifted the suitcase easily, though its weak handle bent in his hand. He did not comment on it, and she appreciated that. They walked to the truck in silence. Marta looked at the land stretching out around them, greenish-brown fields, wooden fences, a sky so big it made her feel small. She could not imagine how someone could live with this much space every day. Cal opened the passenger door for her, and she climbed inside. The seat felt large and soft, and the smell of dust, leather, and faint pine filled the truck. When Cal started the engine and they drove away from the bus stop, Marta pressed her hand to the window, watching the road disappear behind them. She thought of her family waving goodbye. Her mother's eyes red but proud. She wondered when she would see them again. Cal glanced at her once in a while but didn't talk much. Marta was grateful. Her mind was already full of questions, fears, and the strange weight of a future built in an unfamiliar place. After a few minutes, he finally spoke. "I know everything is new," he said gently. "If you need anything, or if something is confusing, just tell me. We can go slow." "Thank you," she whispered. "I try my best." "I know you will," he replied with a small smile. The ride continued for another 20 minutes. The scenery changed from open fields to wooden fences and grazing cattle. Eventually, she saw a cluster of buildings, an old barn with peeling red paint, a long shed, and a cozy house with a porch and a rocking chair. The place was worn, but it had a feeling of being lived in, cared for. Cal parked the truck. "This is home." Home. The word sounded strange. Her real home was thousands of miles away. but she nodded politely. Cal carried her suitcase to the porch. As they stepped inside the house, the warm smell of wood, coffee, and something sweet welcomed her. The house had simple furniture, handmade quilts, and photographs of cows, horses, sunsets, and a smiling older couple. Cal's parents, she guessed. Marta stood near the door, not sure where to go or what to do. Cal noticed her stiffness and paused. "You can look around," he said kindly. "There's no rush." She walked slowly into the living room. The wooden floor creaked under her boots. A small bookshelf held old Western novels. A stone fireplace sat at the center, filled with ashes from previous nights. Everything felt warm and honest, but also foreign to her. Cal cleared his throat. I, fix the guest room for now. Until you feel comfortable. We take things step by step." Marta's chest loosened a little. She had worried he would expect too much too soon. But he seemed respectful, patient. "Thank you, Cal," she said softly. "I appreciate." His smile widened. "You're welcome." He led her down a hallway and opened a door. Inside was a simple room with a bed, a small desk, and a window facing the barn. Sunlight poured through the glass, lighting the space with a golden glow. "It's not fancy," Cal said, rubbing the back of his neck. "But it's yours." "It is nice," she replied honestly. "Very nice." He placed her suitcase on the floor and stepped back. For a moment, they both stood there in silence. Marta felt awkward, unsure if she should talk, unpack, or follow him. Cal seemed to sense her confusion. "I'll let you rest for a bit. You've had a long journey. When you're ready, I'll show you around the ranch." "Okay," she said with a small breath. He nodded once, then gently closed the door behind him. Marta sat on the edge of the bed, feeling the mattress soften beneath her. She looked around the room, quiet, calm, different. Everything felt unfamiliar. The smell of the wooden walls, the view of the open land through the window, the distant sound of cows calling each other. Her heart ached suddenly. She missed home. She missed her mother's voice, her sister's laughter, the tight streets, the old buildings, the smells of food vendors selling warm pastries in the morning. She rubbed her eyes and took a long breath, reminding herself that she chose this. She chose a new start, a chance for a different life. After a while, she stood and opened her suitcase. The fabric lining inside had torn even more during the trip. She sighed, shaking her head. She hoped Cal had not noticed how worn it was. She hung her clothes carefully, smoothing each piece to calm herself. When she finished unpacking, she washed her face, fixed her hair, and stepped outside the room. She found Cal on the porch, checking a wooden toolbox. When he heard the door open, he looked up. "Feel a little better?" he asked. "Yes," she replied softly. "I am ready to see." He gestured toward the open land. "There's a lot to show." They walked side by side. He explained how the ranch worked, the cattle, the fields, the seasons. His words were simple, patient, never rushed. Even when she didn't understand everything, he repeated himself without frustration. As they stood near the fence line, a horse trotted near them. Marta stepped back, surprised by its size. Cal laughed lightly, not at her, but warmly, as if sharing a moment. "He's friendly," he said. "His name's Rusty." The horse stretched its neck toward her, and she hesitantly reached out. Its warm breath brushed her hand. She smiled, feeling a small spark of comfort. Cal watched her with calm eyes. "You're doing great," he said. For the first time since arriving, Marta believed it. The sky slowly shifted toward the colors of evening soft orange, pale pink, and deepening blue. The air cooled. Marta felt the wind lift her hair and carry it behind her like a banner. Cal turned to her. We'll take everything one day at a time, he said softly. You're not alone here. We'll figure things out together. Marta looked over the land, the house, the barn, and then at the quiet cowboy standing beside her. She didn't know what the future held. She didn't know how long it would take to truly feel at home. But she felt a small warmth in her chest, something like hope. Maybe, just maybe, this place would not always feel like a stranger. Maybe one day, it could feel like hers. During the first few days on the ranch, Marta felt as if she had stepped into a different world, one where the sky never ended, the air tasted cleaner, and every sound carried far across the open land. Yet, this new world was confusing. Every morning she woke with a mix of curiosity and worry. Everything she touched, everything she saw, everything she tried to do seemed unfamiliar. She felt like a child learning life all over again. Cal did his best to help her adjust, but even he did not realize how different their worlds truly were. On the third morning, the sunlight poured through the window earlier than she expected. Back home, the sun rose later behind tall buildings. Here, nothing blocked the light. Marta sat up, rubbed her eyes, and listened. The ranch was quiet, but then she heard soft clucking the chickens outside. She heard the gentle mooing of cows in the distance. She heard the slow creak of the porch as someone walked across it. She stood, dressed, and walked to the kitchen. Cal was there, pouring 2 cups of warm tea. When he noticed her, he looked up and smiled. A little shy but genuine. "Morning," he said. "Good morning," she replied. He pushed 1 cup toward her. "I didn't know what kind you liked, but this one is mild." She took a sip and nodded. "It is good." They drank quietly for a moment. Marta wondered if she should ask what the plan for the day was, but Cal spoke first. "If you're ready, I can show you more of the ranch today. Nothing hard, just simple things." "I try," she answered. He put on his hat and held the door open for her. The morning air smelled fresh, almost sweet. The ground sparkled slightly with dew. Marta looked around, amazed at how open and bright everything was. They walked to the chicken coop first. Marta had seen chickens before, but she had never tried taking care of them. When she stepped inside the fenced area, the chickens rushed around her legs, flapping their wings lightly. She gasped and jumped back. Cal tried to hide a smile. "They're just excited. They think we brought food." "They are fast," she said, eyes wide. "Come here," he said gently, showing her how to hold the metal scoop. She took it slowly. When she bent down to pour the feed, the chickens gathered close again. One brushed against her boot, and she froze like a statue. Cal stepped beside her. "It's okay. They're harmless. Seen. They're harmless." She nodded, though her heart beat faster than it should have. After a few minutes, she relaxed and actually found herself smiling as the chickens happily pecked at the ground. Next, Cal took her to the barn. The large wooden door creaked loudly when he pushed it open. Inside, the scent of hay, wood, and warm animals filled the air. 2 horses looked up as they entered. "These are Rusty and Clover," Cal said. "They're gentle." Marta remembered Rusty from her first afternoon. She stepped closer to Clover, whose brown coat shone in the soft light. The horse huffed curiously and lowered its head toward her. Marta reached out slowly, her fingers trembling a little, and touched the smooth fur. "She likes you," Cal said with quiet pride. Marta felt a surprising warmth in her chest. "I like her too," she replied. Cal showed her how to brush their coats. She moved the brush carefully at first, then with more confidence as she grew used to the motion. The horses stood calmly, and Marta found the repetitive movement soothing. Each stroke made her feel more connected to this strange new life. After the horses were brushed, Cal led her outside again. They walked past stacks of hay, metal tools, ropes, and equipment she didn't recognize. Marta realized Just how many things she didn't know. In her old life, she had worked in a small office. She had used computers, phones, and pens. Here, everything needed strong hands, patience, and knowledge of the land. She felt lost, but she didn't want Cal to see her insecurity. When they reached a wooden gate, Cal rested his arm on the top plank and looked at her kindly. "We'll take things slow," he said. "I don't expect you to learn everything in 1 week, or even in 1 month." Marta lowered her gaze. I don't know anything." "That's normal," he said. "You've come a long way. You're doing better than you think." His voice was soft and steady, and it made something inside her relax. Later, they went back to the house for lunch. Cal cooked eggs and toast. Marta offered to help, but when she reached for a pan, she accidentally knocked over a salt container. It fell, spilling across the counter. "Oh no," she whispered, embarrassed. Cal immediately shook his head. "It's fine." "I make mistake," she said, trying to clean the mess quickly. "We all do," he replied. "Don't worry." She glanced at him, surprised by how calm he was. No frustration, no annoyance, just patience. After lunch, they walked toward the cattle field. The cows were far larger up close than Marta expected. One mooed loudly, and she jumped back again. Cal chuckled lightly. "They're just saying hello." "They sound angry," she said. "No, that's normal. They're calm animals." Marta watched them graze. Their size made her nervous, but she also found them strangely peaceful. Each cow had its own rhythm, its own quiet life. Cal showed her how to check the water trough, how to latch the gate, how to walk slowly around the animals so they stayed relaxed. She tried hard to follow everything, but sometimes she stepped too quickly or spoke too loudly, and the cows would shift away. Again, Cal reassured her gently. "Takes time," he said. "You're learning." Throughout the day, small misunderstandings kept happening. When Cal pointed toward the shed and said, "Can you grab the bucket?" she accidentally brought him a small paint can. When he told her to tie a rope, "Just like I showed you," she ended up tying a knot that looked like a confused spiderweb. When he told her to press a button to open the barn door, she pressed the wrong one and turned off the lights instead. Each time, she felt her cheeks warm with embarrassment. Each time, Cal smiled kindly and corrected her without judgment. By evening, Marta was exhausted not just physically, but mentally. Every new word, every new action, every misunderstanding felt like a reminder of how far from home she was. But she also felt a small sense of pride. She had made progress. Not perfect progress, but enough. They walked back toward the house as the sun dipped low, spreading golden light across the land. Marta looked at the sky, amazed again at how wide it was. Her homeland had mountains and tall buildings that blocked the view. Here, the sky touched everything. Cal walked beside her quietly, giving her space to think. After a few minutes, she finally spoke. "Cal, I hope I do not disappoint you." He stopped walking and turned to face her fully. His eyes were soft and sincere. "You're not disappointing me," he said firmly. "You're trying. That's what matters. But I make many mistakes. We all do," he replied gently. "I make mistakes every day on this ranch. That's just life. You're not supposed to know everything yet. Rulam, we're 7 the first. We're 7 the Tessival. We're 7 the Tessival." His words sank deep into her heart. She felt a small sting behind her eyes, not from sadness but from relief. Cal looked at the horizon. "It takes courage to leave your home and try a new life. I admire that." Marta swallowed, touched by his honesty. When they reached the house, Marta paused before going inside. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" he asked. "For being patient," she replied. He smiled his gentle, slightly shy smile. That's what partners do. Marta felt something soften inside her. Maybe this ranch would not always feel frightening. Maybe this quiet cowboy would help her find her place here. Maybe she would learn. Slowly, but surely. And maybe one day, this land would feel like home. The third week on the ranch brought Marta a mix of progress and confusion. She was getting used to the early mornings, the rooster calls, the scent of the barn, and the quiet rhythm of the land. She still made mistakes, but they bothered her a little less, because Cal always handled them with patience. Even when she tied the wrong knot, or fed the chickens twice by accident, he just smiled and guided her again. Yet something small inside her still worried a fear that she might never fully fit in. The ranch had been Cal's entire life, while she had only stepped into it recently. She still felt like a visitor more than a partner. That worry grew stronger one morning when she tried to fix her old suitcase. The suitcase had traveled far too many miles over the years. She had taken it across her home country many times. And now, it had crossed oceans to bring her here. The handle was weak, the corners bent, and the inside lining had torn wide open. Marta had stitched it many times before, but the fabric was too thin now, too worn to hold anything safely. She sat on her bed staring at the rip. She sighed, feeling embarrassed that she had come so far with something so old and fragile. She wished she could hide it so Cal wouldn't see how broken it was. But that morning, when she carried the suitcase to the porch to shake out dust, Cal saw the big tear inside. He stepped closer. "Your suitcase is hurt pretty bad," he said gently. Marta felt heat rise in her cheeks. "It is old," she said quietly. "I try to fix many times." Cal nodded. "I've got a tool that might help. It can stitch leather and heavy fabric." She blinked in surprise. "You can fix it?" "I think so," he said with an easy smile. "Let me grab my sewing awl." Marta had no idea what a sewing awl was. The word awl was new to her English vocabulary, and she wasn't sure she heard it right. She just nodded, hoping she understood enough. Cal went inside the barn and returned, holding a small metal tool with a sharp point and a thick wooden handle. To Marta, it looked like something used for carving or punching holes. Her eyes widened a little. Back home, sewing was done with thin needles, not tools that looked like they belonged in a workshop. Cal held up the tool, explaining calmly, "This is good for stitching strong material. I'll have to work from the inside lining of the suitcase." Marta opened her mouth, trying to follow. Her English brain worked slowly sometimes, especially when she was nervous. She looked at the tool, then at Cal, then at the suitcase. His words felt jumbled to her. Then he gently lifted the torn lining and said, "I need to put this inside to fix it." Her eyes grew huge. "Inside? That tool? Inside what?" For a moment, she misunderstood completely. Her face turned bright red. She stepped back and raised her hands slightly as if stopping him. Wait. You're putting that inside me?" She blurted out in shock. The words came out louder than she meant. They sounded so strange, like something from a terrible misunderstanding in a comedy film. She clapped a hand over her mouth, horrified by what she had said. She wanted the ground to open and swallow her. Cal froze. His eyes widened in confusion first, then realization hit him like a slow wave. No, Marta," he said quickly, shaking his head, holding the tool away from himself as if it were causing trouble on its own. No, not you. The suitcase. I meant inside the suitcase." Marta felt her heart pound in her chest. Her embarrassment grew so strong she thought she might melt right there on the porch. Her English had betrayed her again. She looked at the suitcase, then at the awl, and suddenly, everything clicked. "Oh," she gasped. "Oh no. No. I did not understand. Oh goodness." She covered her face with both hands, wanting to hide forever. Cal hurried to reassure her. It's okay. Really, it's okay. It was just a misunderstanding. He placed the awl on the porch railing and gave her a gentle smile. I meant the lining inside the suitcase, nothing else. Marta slowly lowered her hands, but her cheeks were as red as ripe apples. She let out a breath that was half shock, half nervous laughter. I am so sorry, she said quickly. My English. Sometimes I think wrong. Cal shook his head again, still smiling. Honestly, it was my fault too. I should have explained better. He chuckled softly. I didn't realize how strange it sounded. A moment passed in silence, both of them processing the unexpected drama. Then, something happened. Something small, but important. Their eyes met, and at the same time, they both started laughing. Real, warm, helpless laughter that came straight from the stomach. The kind of laughter that breaks tension like sunlight breaking through clouds. Marta laughed until she held her stomach. Cal laughed until he had to wipe his eyes. Every time their laughter slowed, one of them glanced at the tool again and started laughing all over. After a while, Marta managed to speak through her giggles. I think your English is good, but my brain is not good today. Your brain is fine, Cal said with an amused shake of his head. We just made a funny mistake. Happens to everyone. Their laughter softened into warm smiles, the kind that made the moment feel lighter, brighter, and strangely important. Cal picked up the suitcase again. So, should we fix this old friend? Marta nodded, still smiling. Yes. Please. But tell me more slowly this time. Deal, he said. He sat on the porch steps and opened the torn lining, while Marta knelt beside him to watch. Cal explained every step in clear, simple words. He showed her how the tool worked, how the thread ran through it, how it punched small holes, and how it stitched strong material together. Marta listened carefully, this time understanding completely. You have good hands, she said quietly. Cal glanced at her. I've fixed a lot of things around here. Stuff on a ranch breaks all the time. Marta nodded. I break things too, she said with a shy laugh. Only because you're learning, Cal replied. And learning things means making mistakes. She watched him work. His movements were slow and patient, as if he respected both the tool and the old suitcase. The afternoon sun warmed the porch, and a light breeze carried the sweet scent of the open fields. A distant cow called softly. Rusty the horse neighed from the barn. It felt peaceful, simple, gentle. When Cal finished stitching, he held up the suitcase proudly. There. Stronger now. One. Marta ran her fingers along the repaired seam. The stitches looked neat and firm. The old suitcase seemed grateful, as if it had been given new life. You are talented, she said sincerely. Cal looked at her with a modest smile. Just handy. My dad taught me. She noticed something in his eyes, something kind, steady, and quietly proud. It made her chest tighten, in a warm, unfamiliar way. They sat there for a few moments without speaking. Not because they were uncomfortable, but because the silence felt calm. It was a silence filled with shared understanding. Then Cal said softly, I'm glad we can laugh together. Marta looked at him. Me too. I was very embarrassed, she admitted. He shook his head lightly. You don't have to be. Really. We're learning each other's worlds. Sometimes things get mixed up. That's okay. His reassurance made her heart settle. The earlier embarrassment faded into something almost sweet, a moment she knew she would remember for a long time. Later that evening, as the sky turned shades of orange and pink, they sat on the porch again, each with a warm drink in hand. The repaired suitcase rested near the door like a quiet reminder of the day's chaos and laughter. Marta looked out at the wide fields and then at the cowboy sitting beside her. She felt something shift inside her, a small but certain feeling that she was finally beginning to understand him. And maybe, He was beginning to understand her too. The misunderstanding had been awkward, even shocking at first, but it had brought them closer. It had broken the uncertain distance between them and replaced it with laughter, trust, and a bit of shared sweetness. As the evening breeze brushed across the land, Marta realized that the ranch didn't feel as intimidating anymore. The fear inside her was slowly being replaced by something gentle, something that felt like belonging. And as she looked at Cal, she felt a warmth that told her she wasn't just learning the ranch. She was learning him. The morning after the great misunderstanding about the sewing tool, Marta woke up with a light feeling in her chest, something she hadn't felt since arriving on the ranch. For the first time, she had laughed with Cal the way friends laugh openly, without fear, without needing perfect words. She kept remembering how shocked both of them had looked. Then how the shock had turned into laughter that seemed to shake away every bit of awkwardness between them. That moment stayed with her, like a small sun shining inside her heart. As she walked into the kitchen, she found Cal already there, making breakfast again. He looked up, and the smile he gave her was different, warmer, easier, almost familiar. "Morning, Marta," he said, not shy or hesitant anymore. "Good morning," she replied, feeling that same warmth grow. She helped him set the table. For the first time, it didn't feel like she was trying too hard. She felt comfortable, as if the house had opened its doors a little wider for her. After breakfast, when they stepped outside to start their day, the air was cool but soft, carrying the smell of clean grass and slow-moving clouds. Marta felt as if the entire ranch had changed overnight, not in appearance, but in how it felt to her heart. The fences seemed less intimidating. The animals seemed less foreign. And the land seemed more welcoming. Cal noticed her calm expression and smiled gently. "You seem lighter today." "I think yesterday was funny," she said, cheeks warming a bit. He chuckled. "Funniest day I've had in a long time." They walked toward the barn together. Rusty neighed when he saw them, and Clover lifted her head too, as if greeting an old friend. Marta stepped close, stroking their noses with confidence she didn't have before. "You've gotten comfortable with them," Cal said. "Yes," she answered proudly. Cal taught her how to clean their hooves. Marta watched carefully, then tried herself. She moved slowly and calmly, and the horse seemed to trust her. When she finished, Cal nodded with quiet pride. "You're doing great," he said. Warmth spread across Marta's face. Compliments from him felt honest, not empty. He spoke softly, but every word carried sincerity. After tending to the horses, they walked toward the cattle field. The cows grazed peacefully. This time, Marta didn't step back nervously. Instead, she moved among them with calm steps, as Cal had taught her. She checked the water trough without needing reminders and closed the gate properly. Cal watched her for a moment. "See?" he said. "You're learning fast." She looked at him with bright eyes. "Because you teach well." He shook his head modestly. "Because you try hard. Not everyone does that." Their eyes met in a gentle silence. Not a tense silence like before, but one filled with shared respect, and something warmer, something growing quietly between them. As the days passed, Marta continued learning English in the evenings. She practiced new words while sitting on the porch, her notebook balanced on her knees. Cal sometimes sat beside her, listening patiently as she sounded out each word. "One more?" she asked each night. "As many as you want," he always replied. Sometimes he practiced her language too, repeating small phrases she taught him. His accent was terrible at first, which made her laugh. But he kept trying. He wanted to meet her halfway, and that touched her deeply. One night, as the sky turned dark and filled with stars, Cal pointed upward. Marta shook her head softly. "No, in my city too many lights. Here, the stars are bigger. They've always been here," he said. "Just easier to see when the world is quiet." She nodded thoughtfully. "Like feelings," she whispered. He turned to her. What do you mean? When everything noisy and life fast, you cannot see what is inside. She placed her hand on her chest. But here, quiet makes the inside shine more. Cal listened closely, his eyes warm. They both looked at the sky again, letting the silence speak for them. With each passing day, Marta found more comfort in the rhythm of the ranch. She learned how to sort tools, how to help with small repairs, and how to guide the animals with calm movements. She stopped feeling afraid of making mistakes because Cal never made her feel small. Instead, he turned every mistake into a lesson, every lesson into progress. One afternoon, while they were repairing a wooden fence, Cal handed her a small hammer. "You want to try?" he asked. "I will try," she said confidently. She tapped the nails in with slow, careful strikes. When she finished, she stepped back to admire the straight line of boards. "It looks good," Cal said. "It does," Marta agreed proudly. They stood together under the warm sun. The fields stretched endlessly, glowing softly. A gentle wind brushed across their hair and clothes. It felt like a perfect moment, not exciting or loud, but peaceful in a way that mattered. "I used to fix everything alone," Cal said after a moment. "It feels different now. Better." Marta looked at him with soft eyes. "I am happy to help." He nodded. "And I'm happy you're here." Those simple words made her heart flutter. She looked away shyly, but not to hide fear, only the warmth that filled her. One evening, Marta cooked a traditional dish from her country. She worked carefully in the kitchen, adding her spices, mixing ingredients, hoping it would remind her of home. Cal sat at the table, watching with interest. "What's it called?" he asked. She told him the name. He tried to repeat it, completely failing, and they both laughed. When they finally sat down to eat, Cal tasted the food and closed his eyes with a small smile. "This is amazing," he said. Marta felt happiness bloom inside her. She had brought a piece of her old world into this new one, and Cal welcomed it warmly. After dinner, they washed dishes together. Their movements were comfortable, like two people who had finally learned each other's rhythm. When Cal accidentally splashed water on her, she gasped in surprise, then laughed. She flicked a drop of water back at him. He smiled, the kind of smile only meant for someone special. As the week ended, the final piece of change happened not sudden, but natural. One afternoon, Marta stood outside the house, looking over the land. The wind brushed her hair. The horses grazed peacefully. The chickens wandered near the porch. And the distant mountains glowed in the sunlight. She realized she didn't feel like a visitor anymore. She felt like she belonged. Cal walked onto the porch, wiping his hands with a cloth. He paused when he saw her expression, soft, calm, full of quiet understanding. "You okay?" he asked gently. Marta turned to him, her eyes warm. "Yes. I think I am home now." Cal's face softened. He stepped closer. Not too close. Just enough that she could feel his presence, like a warm light. "I'm glad," he said softly. "I hoped you'd feel that way someday." She looked into his eyes, steady, kind, full of patience, and something deeper. "Thank you, Cal," she said. "You make this place feel safe." "You make it feel alive," he replied. Their hearts understood each other perfectly, even if they didn't say every word out loud. The quiet connection growing between them didn't need big speeches or complicated language. It grew slowly, like the land around them, steady, honest, peaceful. As the sun dipped behind the horizon, coloring the world gold and pink, they stood together silently, watching the sky. The ranch felt warm. The future felt gentle. And the misunderstanding that once embarrassed Marta now felt like a gift, because it had opened a door between them. A door they both stepped through, side by side. And from that moment on, the ranch was not just Cal's home. It was their home built with trust, patience, laughter, and the steady, growing bond between two people learning to walk through life together.